Hello, in this video I'm going to help you understand your NHS pension scheme. As a busy medical professional, you probably don't have the time to get your head around this often very complex scheme. If you stick around to the end of the video, I'll go through the advantages, disadvantages, and ultimately you'll have an idea as to whether you should remain in the scheme or opt out. Hello, my name is Benjamin Mitchell. I'm the Money Scot. I'm a chartered financial planner and my wife is a paediatrician. I know how busy medical professionals are. You're intelligent people, but let's be honest, when it comes to things like the NHS pension scheme, it is not made easy for you. And there's so much information out there, you don't know where to start. That's what this video is for. So if you find this enjoyable, please like and subscribe to my channel and I'll give you more financial tips for medical professionals. So in today's video, I'm going to walk through some of the advantages and the disadvantages of remaining in the NHS pension scheme. You get a deduction every month in your payslip and you're probably wondering, what am I actually getting in return for these contributions? Is it something I should remain paying into, or would I be better just leaving the scheme and getting more money in my take-home pay each month? It's all coming up in this video, and I try and avoid jargon and complication at all times because ultimately you just want to know the bare minimum. What do you need to do and what do you need to think about? So, should you keep paying into your NHS pension? It's a common dilemma that medical professionals often have. You see these deductions coming off your payslip every month and you probably wonder, what actually am I paying into? What benefits am I going to get when I reach retirement date? Whether that is 60, 65 or the state pension age, which depends upon which pension scheme you are in, whether that's the 95, the 2008 or the 2015 pension scheme. All of these things just make it really confusing. So let's go through the key advantages, the key disadvantages, and then you can make an opinion as to whether you're better sticking in the scheme or opting out. Point number one, the NHS pension gives you a guaranteed inflation-proofed income for life. So once you hit the nominal retirement date under each of the pension schemes, you may have benefits built up in a number of them. You'll get a guaranteed inflation-proofed income from then until the day you die. That's incredibly valuable because inflation is the terminator of wealth and eats away at the purchasing power of our money. When it comes to managing private pensions out with the NHS pension scheme, the onus is very much on you to make sensible investment decisions to try and offset the terminator of wealth that is inflation. Whereas in your NHS pension trustees do all the heavy lifting for you. You can sit back, relax and be rewarded for a lifetime of devotion to the medical profession. And the benefit is it's inflation proofed over time. So as inflation rises and over time prices go up and up, your pension income will remain valuable in real money terms. Another benefit to being in the pension scheme is you get free money from your employer. So it's not just you who pays into the pension scheme every month. It might feel like it, but each month the employer, your trust, will be paying into your pension for you. There's a requirement for them to build up their contributions in addition. If you opt out of the pension, effectively you're losing out on some free money from your employer. And in turn, this will limit the amount of pension you get in retirement. If there's less money being paid into it now, if you opt out of your NHS pension scheme, there's no longer going to be those employer contributions. So the guaranteed income that I mentioned earlier is going to be reduced when you do hit retirement age. Another benefit, of course, is there's no market risk whatsoever. So think about this, if you were building up a private pension, you build up a pot of money called a defined contribution pension. And the onus is then on you to invest wisely, to create a sustainable withdrawal strategy throughout retirement, not make any mistakes, not take too much money too early or too little. But whereas the NHS pension, none of this stress applies because you get a guaranteed income for the rest of your life. So regardless of whether stock markets are doing well or poorly, or highs and lows and all of the noise in financial media, none of that is of concern to you if you're a member of the NHS pension because you have got that ticket for the rest of your life. Many people who only have private pensions, defined contribution pensions, would kill for that level of guarantee. The other thing to think about, if you opt out of the NHS pension, it's not just you who might suffer. The NHS pensions are really valuable because they give valuable guarantees to your dependents, whether this is your children or your partners. Now this comes in two different flavours. They get a guaranteed income if you were to pass away, and they may also get a lump sum if you were to pass away. So if you opt out of the NHS pension scheme, the benefits that they will get will likely be reduced as a result. So you need to think about this. It's not just your own planning you're planning for here, it's also the income and lump sum benefits that your loved ones will get if you're no longer here. Have you also thought about the illness benefits you're giving up? The NHS pension offers what's called Tier 1 and Tier 2 ill health benefits. And if you opt out of the pension, you won't be eligible for as lucrative benefits as you would do if you remained in the pension. Now, Tier 1 and Tier 2 I'll go into in another video, but essentially with Tier 1 benefits, you get the level of pension you've accrued up until the date of no longer being able to work. And with Tier 2 benefits, where it's more severe in nature, you'll get the amount you get in the Tier 1, and this will be uplifted by what you would have got had you continued working until the normal pension age. And this differs under the 95 scheme or the modern scheme, the 2015 scheme, but broadly speaking it will be somewhere between an uplift of 2/3 and a half of what you would have been entitled to had you carried on working for the entirety of your career. So if you opt out of the NHS pension and something unforeseen was to happen to you and you could no longer go back to working in the NHS or out with it, these are potentially valuable benefits that you will lose. Another perk, of course, is the tax advantages. Pension contributions are taken from your gross pay, which means you receive tax relief immediately at source. If you opt out of the NHS pension because you want to increase your take-home pay, then you will resultantly be paying more income tax because more of your NHS salary will be in those higher rate bands because you no longer have the pension deduction coming off the top. So those are some of the advantages, things you need to be thinking about if you're opting out of your NHS pension. But are there disadvantages to remaining in the scheme? I'm going to cover those now. So number one, you will get a lower take-home pay. Every month you pay a contribution to the NHS pension, and it can be pretty expensive depending upon the salary level you're at. And I'll share here an example just to give you an idea of how much you contribute, and it differs depending upon whether you are north or south of the border. Up in Scotland, where I am, we do pay slightly different rates, but this has an impact in that you get less in your take-home pay every month. So resultantly, if you've got other financial commitments at the moment, looking after children, a mortgage to pay, building up other savings and investments, you're going to have less to play with each month because the NHS pension has taken a good chunk of your income. However, as I mentioned, you only get taxed after you've made your pension contributions. So it's not as simple as saying the money you paid to your pension could instead be paid into your pocket each month. Some people don't like the fact they've got limited investment control with their NHS pension. Some people prefer to have control over what they're investing in and how much they're paying in every month, every year. With the NHS pension, it's pretty much you sign up and those pension contributions will be taken from your salary and increased over time as your salary progresses through the pay scales. A lot of people might be disillusioned about saving into their NHS pensions because it feels like the rules are always changing. It's incredibly complicated. We've got 3 different sections of the NHS pension, the 95, the 2008 and the 2015 scheme, all with differing retirement ages, benefits, dependence benefits. It becomes really overwhelming, so people step away. And we never know what's around the corner, but this aside, the NHS pension, even in its current form of the 2015 scheme, which new medical professionals will be enrolled into, is still incredibly valuable, and most private sectors can in no way replicate the guaranteed benefits that you will get in the NHS pension. So although a lot of people may tell you it's not as favourable as it once was, let me tell you, it's still so valuable. And finally, it causes tax issues. Many senior clinicians have been affected by annual allowance constraints, and this is amplified in the NHS pension because you've got less control over what you're paying into your pension. As a result, the annual allowance is triggered by the growth in the value of your benefits, not necessarily what you're paying into it. And without this control, you can have nasty tax charges, which mean that some people who may have retired and have opted back into the scheme are actually far worse off once you factor in hefty tax penalties from enrolling back into the scheme. However, there have been some changes to the annual allowance recently which have made this more favourable for senior doctors and made it less likely that you will trigger nasty tax charges. So there we go, that is my rundown of the advantages and disadvantages of being in the NHS pension scheme. You'll probably gather by now I'm in huge favour of the NHS pension scheme. It's a great retirement benefit, and so it should be because you've worked hard throughout your career. It's really valuable. Yes, there are some disadvantages, but if you do decide to opt out of it, go into this with your eyes open and listen back to some of the cons that I've discussed today. So that's it. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to share more financial guidance for medical professionals. If there's anything you would like me to cover in future videos, please do leave a comment below. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next video. My name is Benjamin Mitchell, the Money Scot. Goodbye for now.